Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Moe, and we've received the final piece of the puzzle in the confirmation of the existence of the next Fallout game from Bethesda. They launched a website this morning at 10 a.m. EST. It's got a 24-hour countdown timer. I'll throw it up on the screen for you guys. As you can see, it's very much in the style of Fallout, not to mention the URL says Fallout. So that's pretty much the last piece that we needed to know that Fallout is indeed in development. I am absolutely stoked to finally have it confirmed, and also even more stoked to know that we just have 24 hours for the next piece of news. Now, whether or not that will actually be gameplay reveal or just a teaser to get us ready for what they might show off at E3, who really knows? I'm hoping it's the former because I'm so fed up with E3. As you guys know, I've said it many times. If Bethesda could recognize this and actually show us the game before E3, I would be ecstatic. At least just give us some proper gameplay trailer, no CGI teaser bullcrap. In the past, Fallout has never been afraid to be a little bit uglier than everyone else to make sure that it captures all of those great gameplay mechanics and that atmosphere. So just show us the game. I'm sure it's going to look gorgeous, and I am really excited for it. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, was sort of my hopes and dreams for the next Fallout, whatever they're going to be calling it. We'll just call it Fallout 4 for the sake of this commentary. But we need to start by looking at the previous entries in the franchise, at least the previous first-person shooter entries, the most recent ones, that including Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, because they weren't actually developed by the same team. Fallout 3 was of course developed and published by Bethesda, but then you had about 2 years later the release of Fallout New Vegas, which pretty much used the same engine. It looked the same, but it did introduce a few new gameplay mechanic elements, and of course it told you a different story. It put you in a different place. You went from, Washington DC, the capital, to New Vegas, where, frankly, you led a story that seemed a little bit less significant than what was available in Fallout 3, but, your impact that you had in-game was just as great. And that was developed by Obsidian, like I said, the same team that recently brought us Pillars of Eternity, the outstanding Pillars of Eternity. So you have two games that could technically have been released within the same year in terms of visual representation, but it's not like Obsidian didn't do anything new, and I hope that if Bethesda is the only team working on Fallout 4, they still look at some of the features that were implemented into Obsidian's Fallout and kind of learn from that, because I think that's a good place to start, and talk about some of the mechanics that we've always enjoyed in the Fallout franchise. Of course, VATS is like the ultimate rendition, the ultimate combination of real-time first-person shooter combat mixed with that sort of classic stat roll RPG combat that we're so used to seeing in RPGs of the past. It was just an amazing system. I would love to shake the hand of whoever invented it, because it was one of my favorite things about Fallout. And it was also very important because the actual real-time first-person combat in the Fallout franchise was never very good. I hope that's something they can improve on in 4. I think there was enough statistical bonuses in VATS that it wouldn't have hurt if we actually had a solid first-person shooter combat system that would allow us to engage in real-time FPS whenever we felt the need to do so. But if we look at probably two of the biggest implementation in Obsidian's Fallout New Vegas, that would be the hardcore mode and the ability to modify your weapons to a much higher level than anything that was available in Fallout 3. I mean, you could add, attachments, suppressors, scopes, internal parts. I thought it was a really great system, and it helped bring the weapons, sort of to the forefront of the gameplay a little bit more than they were in Fallout 3. Now, the hardcore system was one of my favorite implementations in New Vegas. Basically, it meant that the player not only had to keep an eye on their hydration levels and consume water, it meant that any sort of stim pack or anything that was meant to regenerate your health would no longer do so instantly. It actually did it over time. You might have a stim pack that does 20 HP over, 15 seconds. This meant that when you were in combat, you couldn't just insta-heal and make the damage go away. You actually had to be very careful about the situations that you got yourself into and the amount of damage that you took when you were inside of them. To me, this helped sort of alleviate the superhuman issue that I always had with Fallout 3, and that was once you got to a certain level in Fallout 3, you kind of just wrecked everything. You probably had power armor, you were probably walking around with a nuke launcher, with the Fat Man, and everything was just kind of a fly on the wall. In New Vegas, with this system, you could be really powerful. Usually you did get to that point. You may have been walking around in power armor, Tesla armor, and you were probably doing a lot of damage, but all it took was that critical hit, that grenade, that rocket launcher, that sniper rifle round from the enemy to cut your health in half, and all of a sudden you had to be concerned, especially if you lost a limb or had a limb crippled. I mean, now you're a slow-moving target, and you don't have much health, and you've got to wait for that stim pack to regen. I loved that system, and I really hope to see something like that return in Fallout 4. Again, it can be completely optional, just like it was in New Vegas, but I thought it was a game changer, and it really made for a much more enjoyable experience, for me at least, someone who takes the game pretty seriously and who has put a lot of hours into Fallout 3, just a little bit better. So I'm looking forward to the return of a system like that for sure. Now, I think, we could talk about the smaller mechanics of both of these games all day long. There's a very solid chance that a lot of the things that we didn't like will be improved. I wasn't a huge fan of the weapon selection system, how you had to use the D-pad. I'd like to see a proper radial medal that's brought up on screen. All of these things, no doubt, will be altered in some way. Hopefully, it's for the better. And from a visual standpoint, we're probably going to get a new engine. If it is Bethesda, I imagine that they're going to be using some sort of a modified version of their Creation engine, the one that was built in-house specifically for Skyrim. It would just make sense to use that engine, because I imagine they've been improving on it over the last several years. Well, but who knows? I hope we find out all of this and more tomorrow. I'd like to get the more nitty-gritty details of what this game is going to be developed on and who exactly is working on it. So I think that's the biggest thing for me, right, is that the Fallout franchise has always nailed gameplay, like, pretty much dead on. Like, the gameplay mechanics, the leveling system, the perks, I loved all of that in both New Vegas and 3. And the game, while it was ugly, it still did capture the wasteland atmosphere, the post-apocalyptic vibe very, very well. But the thought of having a beautiful Fallout definitely has me excited, because I think you can still have beauty in chaos and in destruction, so that'll be really cool to see what this game visually looks like. Of course, if it's not like the next Crysis, I'm not going to be devastated. I really just want to see those gameplay mechanics be awesome. Now, outside of all of that, one of the biggest things that Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas did exceptionally well was just being really good open world games. When I reference open world games on my channel, and when I talk about what they should do, and when I talked about The Witcher 3 as recently as being one of those games that I thought was a great success, it's because they give the player a reason to go out and explore the emptiness. They give the player a reason to go to point A on the map, even though point A isn't marked there by the game. There's nothing actually there. There's just a shack on the map that looks slightly interesting. And when you get to that shack, you're often rewarded with a unique location or even a piece of loot or something awesome. I mean, that's how just about every awesome weapon in the Fallout franchise was found. Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas both had special weapons. They had the modified version of the Fat Man, which I can never remember what the name of it was, but it fired more than one nuke. Fired like 3 nukes at a time, which nukes are very hard to get your hands on, but stuff like that was so cool. And, I think that was a huge part of the Fallout experience, and if they leave that out, then they will have failed massively, but I don't think that will be the case. I feel Bethesda has, different studios, they sort of have their specialties. They're really good at crafting certain things. I've always said that Bungie was really amazing at crafting worlds, believable and very interesting worlds. Sometimes not always believable, but very interesting indeed. And I would have to say that the team at Bethesda is sort of the king of crafting superb open worlds, just worlds that you wanna scour every centimeter of the map, and that is not often that can be said for open world games. I mean, when was the last time you checked every single alleyway in something like Grand Theft Auto even? While that is a great open world game, it doesn't do it the same way that Bethesda has with their past entries. So that's something that I'm really excited to see return in Fallout 4. I want to spend another 1,000 hours checking every single grid on the map. I want to find every little nook and cranny, find that counterfeiting cap shack. I just have so many great memories with the Fallout franchise. I hope that I can create even more with this next entry, and I'm sure a lot of people feel that exact same way. I can't remember the last time that I was able to find out that I was going to be able to play another entry in a game, in a franchise that I loved so very much. It's just, Fallout is so very near and dear to my heart. I never thought I would be able to play more of it. I thought that would always kind of be just secluded to mods and, enjoying the DLCs, but the fact that we're getting another full release, I think is absolutely fantastic, because not only is it a franchise that has done so much, I think it's one that still has so much room to grow in. I think there are so many places they can take the storytelling and the locations and the open world and the RPG elements. I'm very, very excited for all of that. And I think if there was one really off-the-wall mechanic or feature that I wish Fallout 4 had, it would be some sort of a cooperative mode. The ability to actually play through the story with a group of friends or even just one friend. I know that is completely off the wall, but it's really something that I would love to see. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys with, is just a group of questions. What have you always loved about Fallout? What has been your favorite element of Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas? What would you like to see most in Fallout 4? And if you had one off-the-wall hope for a mechanic, like I said with co-op, let me know down in the comment section below. Let's look forward to tomorrow. We've got about 21 hours left for that countdown. You guys can definitely expect me to cover whatever they reveal here tomorrow on the channel. So sure to be hang around. And man, this is it. I mean, this is big. Like, I'm so stoked about this. I'm one of those people who still most definitely gets excited about video games, and I hope that you guys will join me in this excitement for the next Fallout. Once again, let me know anything you have to say or any questions you may have for me down in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next one.